Welcome to the Art Bazaar, a podcast that chats with artists of all types to explore the depths of creativity, brought to you by the Alternative Gallery. We'll be releasing new episodes every Wednesday with bonus episodes dropping randomly. If you like what you're hearing, you can support this podcast by going to thealternativegallery.com and clicking on the podcast tab. I'm your host, Brandon Wonder, creative director of the Alternative Gallery, a nonprofit arts organization in Allentown, PA, run through the efforts of dedicated volunteers. On this episode of Art Bazaar, we'll be chatting with Paul Caravasi, owner of Soulgrinder Zine, a magazine founded in 2013 that's dedicated to the underground heavy metal scene. Paul's been hosting a series of music shows at the AG since 2018 called Metal Assault, which are typically held bi-monthly. The next Metal Assault is being held here at the Alternative Gallery on Saturday, October 14th, and features Buried at Dawn, Addiction, Thrash Bag, and Bride Riot. It's sure to be a fun show as always. Welcome to the Art Bazaar, Paul.
Hey, how are you, man?
I'm great, brother. How you doing, man?
Awesome.
How you feeling today?
Great.
Yeah?
Thanks for the invitation.
I'm so glad you're here, man. We've talked about so many of your adventures and trips and your love of music that I was just waiting for this to finally happen, and we wanted to pair it up with one of the shows you had coming up.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. You know, the gallery is like my second home, and I love this place so much, and I'm trying to do my best for all the local scene, and I guess maybe for metal in general.
Well, and you've been doing a hell of a job, man, because the metal scene's been a little light around here.
Yeah, especially in Lehigh Valley.
So, and it once was really strong, which we'll definitely talk about a lot this episode, and I'm glad that you're doing what you are doing. And I guess for those who are unfamiliar with Soulgrinder Zine, can you talk about what that is and maybe why you started it?
Yeah, I mean, I started it in 2013, but before I was working with a guy from Peru. The magazine was called Aquelarre Magazine. We were doing that for maybe a couple of years, and at that time we have different ideas. So I decided to step out and start my own thing. That's how I create my own this in Soulgrinder.
What inspired you to make Soulgrinder? Like, what is the focus of it?
Okay, especially is to support all the underground scenes. They need more support from the metalheads. There's a lot of bands that sometimes they can release maybe one or two songs, and they don't have the support that they need, and they disappear. And it's a shame because there's a lot of talent around. And I'm trying to do my best to make people know more about them.
Shine a light on bands that you think don't get enough love and support.
Of course.
How many issues have you done so far, do you know?
11.
11?
Yes.
How often do you put them out?
Well, at first it was every year, and now I'm trying to do twice a year. Right now I have more help, more people that are willing to do interviews, reviews, and stuff like that. So it's easier for me to release it twice a year, yeah.
So what does the magazine have? You said like reviews and stuff like that. What
It's
is it?
reviews, interviews, concert reports, horror movies, reviews as well. It's between horror and metal. Mostly.
So like with concert reviews, are those concerts like worldwide?
Local.
Just
local
local.
shows, yeah.
Yeah. So local meaning the tri-state area. That would be local for us.
Yeah, sometimes the big names, it's like a big name coming to Philly, and we review about that show.
Do you ever get to chat with some of those bigger bands?
I did. I have the chance to talk with Dave Lombardo many years ago, the guy from Slayer.
Nice.
Yes. The guy from DRI. Yeah, a few other, but the guys from Wrath, Fate or Fear, when we brought into the gallery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a hell of a show.
That was great.
Are there any specific bands or artists you're looking to work with Soulgrinder Zine?
I mean, it's gonna be a dream come true if I can bring a big name to the gallery, man. I'm trying to do it, but sometimes it's hard because the bands are outside PA, and you need to catch them if they are on tour, and you need to invest a lot of money and time. So sometimes it's hard to do it.
And some of those bands, would they play this area if it weren't for your shows?
I mean,
Like, where else would they have to play if they didn't come here?
sometimes all the big names, they play, since there are not too many venues around, they play just in Philly. Sometimes they skip Philly and they play in Jersey or New York. And they keep going. So that's what I'm trying to do with the gallery.
So you're saying a lot of the bands, they're lucky if they play Philly. They pretty much all skip Allentown, but you're trying to change that.
Yes, that's what I'm working hard on it, man. There's a lot of friends that they tell me, why you don't bring a big name to the gallery? I mean, it sounds easy. But it's going to be great. It's going to be a dream come true if I can bring maybe, for example, if we can bring DRI to the gallery. It's going to be
massive.
Yes.
Well, and the thing is, the gallery can only accommodate so many people. So for huge bands, we, might not be able to do that to a certain degree. But we're not just limited to the gallery. We have other spaces we're trying to set up and work with as well.
Yep.
Where else can bands play in this area? Or like metal bands? There's not
too many venues, man. I mean, you remember the Croc Rock?
I do.
Okay, that was the main venue back in the day, and the Sterling Hotel was the other venue. But nowadays, it's only the gallery and maybe Jabberjaws.
Yeah, which is a bar. So
which is a bar, yeah.
So not that
21 and up.
That's right. That's the thing. Not saying that shows at a bar are a bad thing, but it's very limiting and a thing that we're very focused on here at the gallery. It's important for us to have these shows be all ages.
Yes,
because even a lot of college kids aren't 21. They can't make it out to a bar show.
And it's more fun, man. When you do a all ages show, it's like a different vibe.
Yeah. Well, and when you go out to a bar show, some people aren't there for the show.
Exactly.
People are there to hang out and drink, and I know a lot of times
and fight at the end of the show.
People get pissed off because the band, they can't hear their friend talk because of the band. When you come out to a show at a venue or here at the gallery, people are coming specifically for that show and no other reason.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
It's a very different vibe.
Yep. And you feel welcome when you come to the gallery. It's like I said, man, it's a different vibe. It's not because I'm doing the shows. It's like everybody is saying that.
Why did you approach me about doing your shows here when you came to me in 2018?
Oh, yeah. That was, I remember I just met Luigi. And Luigi was working with you at the time.
He was our intern at the time, yeah.
Yes. And there was, Lisa was doing a punk show that Saturday. And
Luigi told you about the punk show.
And Luigi told me about the show and said, you need to. I didn't know about the gallery at that time. I said, there's a place that they're holding shows. Yes. I came to the gallery. I met you, and I asked you, just give me a chance to do a show. If you don't like it, well, at least I tried. And look at us, man. It's been like how many metal assaults
we've probably had 20, something like that.
20, yes.
I mean, we had that weird 2-year period with no shows because of the freaking pandemic. But aside from that, you've been grinding them out, man.
Yeah, man. It's, and I can thank you enough for it, for the chance that you gave me to do all this.
Well, and I appreciate that, man. But I appreciate everything you do here because I remember when you asked me, I was really into it because we had a bunch of different show promoters doing shows, but no one was really dedicated to just metal, which to me, it's one of my favorite genres of music. For a long time, it was my favorite genre. Right now, taste change and stuff like that. And right now, I'm like obsessed with jazz, and I have my own. Yeah. And not that I stopped listening to metal, but when I was growing up, there was a huge metal scene in the Lehigh Valley and in Allentown.
Yep.
I mean, you mentioned Sterling. Sterling, they had like 3 venues inside Sterling. They had the Long Bar, and then they had the 2 other side spaces. So there were multiple nights when you can go from one show to the next for one entry.
Yep.
And now that's just another bullshit club, unfortunately. Yeah. I talked about this in the last episode with Brother JT. They chopped it up and turned it into a nightclub.
Mm-hmm. Same thing with the Croc Rock.
Well, Croc Rock got bulldozed, and now it's an office building.
Yeah.
And the people that bulldozed it, they're now City Center. They're working to build a venue in downtown Allentown, which is nice that we're going to get something like that. But again, I said this in the last episode, as far as we know, they didn't consult any musicians or artists on this. They don't know what they're doing, and we're concerned it's not going to be what the area needs.
That's the thing that happens with with some promoters, that they don't know anything about what the bands that they are booking. It's just about the profit that they can take.
And that is why I decided ultimately to work with you and not to work with others, because you weren't in it for the money. I know there's been plenty of shows you've held here which You didn't cover costs. We didn't cover costs. And you had to pay out of your pocket.
Yep.
You're not doing it to make money. You're doing it because, first of all, the love of the music.
That's correct.
A lot of people I work with, they don't have that. And there's been this weird thing in the Lehigh Valley over the years. I don't know if it's so much so now, but it was at least pre-pandemic, where you had a lot of promoters that were just trying to be like the best promoter, which I don't even know what that means. Like just trying to get the most people out, have the loudest show. There was this weird competitive nature, and it made promoters very vindictive against one another. To the point that I was working with some promoters that were like, "Oh, you got this other guy doing shows. I'm not going to keep doing shows here if you work with this guy." I'm like,
"Yeah, that's right.
What kind of shit is that, man? Like, I'm trying to provide opportunities for people.
You don't need to compete with anybody. I mean, everybody's doing their own thing, and you need to respect that. But there's always gonna be an asshole that's gonna mess everything up.
My philosophy is, I don't care how talented you are. If you're an asshole, I don't want to work with you. There's plenty of cool artists out there that they're not being an asshole. That's what I want to support. I don't want to support people's egos, man. I want to support people who are doing cool shit for the right reasons.
We don't have time for drama and BS.
No, and a lot of those promoters, I don't work with anymore. I stopped working, and my drama free. I haven't ever had someone come to me and saying, you know what, I want to book at the gallery, but Paul's booking there, so I'm not going to do it. Not one person's ever said it to me. So what, like the bands that play here, I guess, first of all, where are these bands from? I know you get a lot from the tri-state area, but we haven't just had bands from the tri-state area. Talk about the bands you bring here.
Okay, yeah. The good thing about running a fan scene is that you can know a lot of the underground bands. That's how I met them. I discovered them. And, man, I'm telling you, there's so many of them. And you saw them playing at the gallery. And I'm trying to keep bringing more bands that sometimes nobody knows, man. If they are from Jersey, it's going to be people from Jersey only know this band. They need to expand the fans around the United States.
But you don't
if that's possible.
But you don't just bring bands from the tri-state area. You've brought bands from South America. Right?
Oh, the time when the band from Bolivia and Colombia.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were working with the guys from Paralysis from Jersey.
That's right.
Yeah, they called me and they wanted to do a show at the gallery.
They had never been to America before, had they?
No, that was the first time. And they were doing like a mini tour in the States.
Nice. And they asked to come here?
Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that.
That was great.
That's wild.
Awesome. Yep. Yeah, they were asking me, can we play at the gallery? Man, it's going to be like a big honor for us. And say, wow.
Wow, it's an honor for me to hear that.
And everybody is talking about this place. And there's a lot of people that they don't know this place either. So
yeah.
We need to keep working hard, man.
I know. So the bands that come here, what is their experience like?
Well, you see, they're always coming back. That says a lot.
So when a band, they have a show here, they go home, they're on the road to wherever they're going next, either back home or the next gig. I know you've told me, like, you keep in contact with a lot of these bands.
Yep.
What are they saying? Like, I'm curious about Allentown, about the venue. Is it what they want? Is it what they need, this space here?
So far, no complaints. Every time they play at the gallery, they feel welcome and they love the crowd because everybody's so energetic, so into the band. And sometimes even in their own city, they don't feel that. So that's a cool thing.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very important to make someone feel like what they're doing is completely necessary.
Yeah.
Because, again, we're all volunteers here. So we would not be hosting these events if we didn't think they were important.
Yes.
But they are.
I think that's the main reason why the bands like this place, because we treat them with respect and as friends.
Yeah.
We are not like, oh, you're a promoter, you're working for me, and shit like that. No, you're my friend.
Yeah, none of us are trying to be business people here.
I'm not considering myself even a promoter. I mean, I'm just a metalhead doing shows.
Yeah, you're a guy that organizes events at the end. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. So what kind of bands do you have coming up in the future here?
Man, the list is a long list.
Yeah?
Everybody wants to play at the gallery. I always have requests from different bands.
How are they reaching out to you? Facebook,
Instagram, maybe one band they already play here. They talk about us and they want to come over here, so which is cool.
So do you think like when these bands are going on tour, they're telling other bands?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that happened with Morbid Cross.
Yeah.
And Shark Bullet.
Yeah.
You remember when they played together? They didn't know each other at the time.
Oh, wow.
So they became real friends.
Yeah,
and now they're playing everywhere.
I always see them together now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the great thing about it. It's like a big community. like a big family. And some of the bands, they meet here and they start touring together in different
Wow.
cities.
And and one of the things I hear from musicians a lot is they wish they had something like this in their hometown.
Yes.
And that's kind of been my driving force to teach other people to do what we do. Because it's not right that we just have this one. I would have 50 of these if I could.
Of course. Yeah.
I would have 1,000 of these if I could,
Yeah.
but I can't. But what I can do is encourage other people to start similar things because they should have this kind of stuff. And then those bands, whether they're bands from that city or bands that are just touring and playing that city, they're going to have a similar support system.
Yeah.
Do you think that what we do here is something that should be kind of duplicated and done in other places too?
Absolutely, man. I mean, if the promoter believes in what he's doing, everything's going to be all right. If you just going to do it because you want to get some profit of it, no, that doesn't work that way. You need to love this kind of music.
Yeah,
And
for
do
sure.
it, yes.
So,
And you have to do it from the heart. It's simple as that.
yeah, I mean, I think anything creative needs to start there, right? So I'm curious, anyone that's listening who might be interested in throwing shows the way you do and having a space like this, like how can they do that? What do you recommend people who haven't thrown shows before? How do they get started?
Man, it's simple. Just have discipline, believe in what you're doing, respect the bands. That's the most important thing about it. And I think that'd be it, man.
Probably got to find a space too, right?
I mean, I'm seeing bands playing in like basement and like maybe small houses and stuff like that. I mean, if you want to do it, you can find a spot, no matter where it's gonna be.
What kind of venues have you gone to see shows?
Oh, there's a place here in Whitehall called The Building. It's a cool place. I went there. Cool bands. The promoter is great guy. He'll be playing here January with
Sweet.
his band.
Awesome.
Yes, he's great.
I don't think I've met them yet.
You're gonna meet him. And the fun part about it is it's so underground. They can post the flyer on social media, but they don't post the address.
It's one of those DIY spaces.
Yes.
Yeah, which I love.
Which is it's great, man.
They're fun spaces, but the thing is, because of the nature of how they exist, they don't tend to last long.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you go to one of those shows, don't fuck it up for those guys.
Yeah, man. Yep.
And appreciate that it's there and try to keep it going as long as you can.
Yeah.
Because there's
And you can tell, man. You can tell they love the music. I mean, they love the scene and they are doing it from the heart. That's why I
what's-
respect.
That's great, man. And one of the things I'm hoping to get out of this podcast for listeners is I don't want people to just take my word for it that there aren't enough spaces for artists in the area. I want people to hear it from the artists themselves.
Yep.
That this is a real issue, whether they're just starting out or like in the case of Brother JT, he's been doing it for over 40 years. There's so few venues for these guys. And okay, yeah, we have all this development in the Lehigh Valley, but at what cost?
Most of the places are bars, man. I mean, if you're going to a show, it's going to be a bar. It's going to be 21 and up, and there's going to be kids that they want to see that band. And they're going to miss it.
And some of the guys in those bands aren't even 21 years old.
No. Yeah.
Some aren't even 18.
Yes.
I mean, you've brought bands here where the one kid was what, like 14 years old?
14. He was 14.
And he was shredding the shit out of that guitar.
Mm-hmm.
What band was that again?
Brutality, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that was wild. That was a fun show, man.
Yep.
You can tell that kid just worships heavy metal.
Yeah.
So, and the thing too is that you and I had talked about this in the past. There's all kinds of bars in the area, right? But there's no metal bar.
No, man. We need to we need to create one.
So anyone out there that has some money and wants to buy us a
Yes,
bar,
let's do it. Let's do this.
or if you operate a cool bar and you're down for the metalheads to take it over,
That's right.
we want to come and turn your bar into a metal bar.
Please
Because-
come to the gallery and talk to Brandon. We need you.
Yeah, we need more people to help out, and I'm down to link people together and do what I can. If you don't give people a space, these things go away, which is why, okay, yes, taste and styles change, which is now there may not be as many metal bands in Lehigh Valley as there used to be, but I think a part of that reason is there's nowhere for these bands to play. Like, aside from, like you said, Jabberjaws and AG, I literally do not know one other space in Allentown for heavy metal.
Like I said, it's most most of the places are bars.
Yeah.
I think it's only like 2 bars that they have shows. It's the building in Whitehall, it'll be 3, and us, 4 places.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Planet Trog. Okay, they're in Whitehall. They do metal shows too.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of
That's
Allentown,
another
though.
one, yeah.
But both those are outside of Allentown.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
still, they're just those 2. So, Paul, you're originally from Peru, right?
Yes.
So why don't you tell me a little about Peru and like what that was like growing up, man?
Oh man, that was awesome. South America is so different from the States. I love this country, but South America is. If you were born and raised in South America, when I came to the States, I was like 21. So most of my teenager years were in Peru. It was a big change, but I can complain about it. I mean, I have my family here. I have my 2 kids, and my older kid. He helps me with the shows. You know him, and I wish I can go to Peru more often, but sometimes work, your responsibilities, and everything.
Life gets in the way, man.
Yes.
Yeah, it sucks.
But yeah, Peru is awesome, man. You need to know Peru.
I
We need to travel over there.
I've been dying to get there, man, for literally since I was probably about 20 years old. Not just Machu Picchu and the Inca Trail, but the coast. I read one time when I was young, one of the things I wanted to do was be an archaeologist. I was obsessed with old cultures, civilizations.
You're gonna love Peru, yeah.
And I read this thing where it said there are so many archaeological sites in Peru that on the coast,
Even in the city, where I'm coming from,
yeah,
you'll find some stuff like that.
I'm sure there is.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that was the capital of the Inca down there, where on the beaches there are so many sites that just tourists stumble upon archaeological sites that will probably never be explored because there's so many.
Yeah, it is crazy.
And that to me is like, oh my God, you can find, like, I don't want to go down there and find treasure and be rich. I just want to be able to accidentally unearth some kind of piece of like lost history of civilization. There is nothing more interesting.
There is a catacombs in Peru. You can see the bones from all the Incas and the ancient people.
Wow.
And when I did the Lima Metal Fest in 2015, one of the guys, he stole one of the bones. Said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna take this to home."
No.
Yeah.
Not cool, man. Don't do that. Don't do that shit. If there's any kind of like curse out there, you deserve it. Like those are human remains. They need to be left where they are. At the very, very least, if they are disturbed in any way, it needs to be by scientists. There needs to be a certain level of respect, not a memento. It's a piece of a human being, man. So, but like growing up in Peru, because I know there's a ton of metalheads in Peru. How did you first get into metal? Like, what was your initial exposure to heavy metal?
I was 10 years old. I used to play Atari. You remember Atari?
Hell
I used
yeah.
to play Atari with my friend. He was my neighbor. And he has an older friend, an older brother. And he was a metalhead. And one day we were playing Atari, and he was listening to The Number of the Beast by Maiden. And I was, what was that? At that time, I was listening, all the radio songs like Police and Tears for Fears and, the commercial stuff. But that sound hooked me up, man. And I said, what is this? And he showed me the vinyl. So when I look at the record and I look at the artwork, I said, what is this?
Wow.
Eddie with the devil and the human and the artworks. From that day on, man, my life changed. So
Did he have like all kinds of like posters and stuff up in his bedroom too?
just records.
Just
And
records.
yeah, he showed me all his collection. He had Venom, Judas Priest, Anthrax,
It's a lot of thrash too.
thrash metal, heavy metal, Queensryche.
Wow.
So he started making tapes for me. So I'm gonna make a tape for you, and you're gonna start listening to this. So I was
Whoa.
listening to that, and I met another guy who was from the same neighborhood. He was older than me, and he was into more dark music, more string music. Like I discovered through him.
You mean like more like black metal, death metal?
Death metal, and the raw thrash metal, and the Brazilian bands. That's how I discovered Sepultura and Sarcophago and all those bands. Creator from Germany, Destruction, Celtic Frost, Death. That shit was my thing, man, back in the day. At that time, I was like 13 years old.
Wow.
Listening to all that crazy stuff.
So were there a lot of people that you knew that listened to that as well?
At school, I have 2 friends. We were 3 guys in the entire school that we were listening to metal. Everybody else was like, what the fuck are these guys listening to?
What were they listening to? The other people?
At that time, they were listening like, the radio stuff. Yeah, the commercial stuff. I remember, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was New Kids on the Block.
Ah,
That was the thing back in the day.
That's a little different than listening to Death. Just slightly.
Yeah, we were the opposite.
Yeah,
we were
yeah,
like,
yeah. So were there like venues dedicated to heavy metal in Peru?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. There's a bunch of them.
What
and
were
even they have a metal bar.
A metal bar?
Yeah.
So like explain these spaces. I'm curious about this. Like,
Yeah, they've been running. I'm talking about 80s. My first show in Peru was in 87. And there is a well-known band called Mortem, a really good band, death metal band from Peru. There were a lot of places. I mean, we didn't have any issues finding places.
Were they like music venues? Were they bars? What kind of like?
No, they were like music venues.
Okay. Just dedicated to heavy metal?
Dedicated to metal.
They didn't do anything else but metal?
But metal, yep.
And how often would they do shows? Every night? Just a weekend?
Yeah, sometimes Friday and Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how it runs in South America. Maybe it's different than from the States. But I heard that in the States in the 80s, the metal scene was crazy. It was really good.
Yeah. Yeah, when Metallica broke through, especially, and it became almost mainstream in some ways. Now, those venues you mentioned in Peru, are they still around?
No.
No?
Not anymore, because right now they are bringing all the big names to Peru. So they still have some small venues, but most of the time they are bringing bands from the States or Europe.
Like if you and I were to go to Peru, which we're going to do at some point, and we wanted to go see some metal, where would we go?
Well, we're going to Lima.
Lima.
In Lima, there is 2 places where they have local bands, and they can bring bands from overseas as well.
It's like
so we won't have
venue.
any issues finding metal shows.
So speaking of Lima, you were one of the founders of Lima Metal Fest, weren't you?
Yes.
So explain what Lima Metal Fest is.
Lima Metal Fest was an idea. I went to Maryland Death Fest in Baltimore. I saw 2 stages. It was a really cool metal fest. And I was talking to my friends in Peru. And they said, well, if one day we can make a festival like they are doing in the States, what do you think about it? And they were like, yeah, let's go for it.
And there was
let's risk it.
There was nothing like that at that time before?
Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. So we risked it all. And we did it in 2015.
Yeah, I think you told me you put your own money in, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All of it?
All of us. There were like 3 of us.
Did you lose money on it? Of fucking course, right?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But, at least we did it. We tried.
Yeah.
And we did the second edition in 2016. And at that time, they wanted to do another one in 2018. I couldn't make it. So I was part of the festival in 2015 and 16.
They're still doing it, though, right?
No more. It was only three editions.
Damn,
of the
I didn't
fest.
realize that.
Yeah.
What was that first year like? Walk me through what it was like. What did it feel like? Was it packed? What were people's reactions to it?
Yeah, it was 2,000 people at the fest.
Outdoors?
Outdoors. It wasn't that bad. 2 stages. The logistics were crazy.
How many days was this?
Just one day.
Just one day?
Just one Saturday. And the first metal fest was Nocturnus. It was a band from Brazil, Machine Age. Like 10 bands from Peru. It was a great festival. Terrorizer, they canceled the show. I remember they canceled 2 days before the festival. I was at the airport.
After all your marketing materials are
Yeah,
out.
and they called me. And I think something happened with the guitar player. And he said, I couldn't make it. I said, man, we already bought the tickets.
Shit.
We reserved the hotel. How we can get our money back? Yeah, I'm sorry, man, and shit like that. They post something on Facebook, and everybody from Peru, they were really angry about it.
They were pissed.
Yeah, they were pissed, man. Anyway, we did it the next year, 2016, which was great. I think it was better than the first one.
So you kind of figured it out the first year, and then did a little bit of the next year,
Yes,
right?
we did way better than the second one. And yeah, that was it for me.
The first year, how did the bands react? Were they like, this is exactly what we needed. We love this. What did they think of it?
Yeah, the band from the States, they didn't expect that. They didn't expect the reaction from the crowd because everybody knew all the songs.
Wow.
They said, not even in the States. At this time, everybody's like, they were playing in bars, man.
And these
And
are
they went to Peru and they were playing in a big.
and these are smaller bands, I
Yes.
imagine, right?
Yeah.
So these guys
Like,
are
I mean, they were like big names in the underground scene.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were shocked that they came to another country.
And everybody was like waiting
singing
for
their
them at the airport.
Wow. Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Like they were true rock stars.
Yeah, the meet and greet was crazy. Everybody was there. Everybody was bringing all the records, cassettes, CDs.
Wow.
Please sign my CD, man. I've been waiting to see this band for a long time. That's the thing with South America. South America, we don't have the chance to see bands like this in the States. That's why we are so passionate over there.
Yeah,
It's a
you
different-
realize
it's a
what you
different
have.
reaction. Yeah,
Yeah. So that the fans were going ape shit then.
man. Yes, back to the primitive.
I love it. So it must have been a hell of a party, right?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of the debauchery. I want to hear about it.
Okay, when we were at the hotel, and remember we were in the lobby. We were just talking, and I brought a sick bag. I'm gonna buy a sick bag. We're gonna talk about tomorrow because it was a day before the event. And at the end, we were drinking until like 6 a.m. in the morning. They needed to do a sound check by 9 a.m.
Oh my God.
They said, we can do it, man. We don't need to sleep. So they went straight from the hotel to the sound check and they played.
And I'm sure they needed some kind of chemical substance.
Yeah,
to keep
you
them
know,
going.
yes.
Cocaina.
You're in South America.
Yeah.
Everybody from South America knows what's up.
They know what's up.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I imagine that party was not just the festival promoters, was probably fans too, right?
Yeah.
So fans,
The
bands,
fans got the chance to hang out with all the bands.
and a lot of the fans that were Peruvians.
Yes. I mean, there were people from Ecuador, Mexico, Chile.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people from Chile too.
Wow.
Which was really cool. I met a lot of people from Chile.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So-
It was a crazy party.
Have you traveled around South America going to shows too?
No, man, I wish.
Yeah?
I wish I can do that. Yep. I want to go to Brazil. I want to go to Chile. Argentina. Those are on my bucket list.
Let's do it, man. What's stopping us?
You know what's stopping us.
Well, not being there is what's stopping us.
Yeah, that's why. But
I need to
let's-
get there. I need to get there.
Yeah, let's
I need,
do
I need,
that.
I need to see Ecuador. I need to see Peru. I want to go all the way down to the tip of Chile.
You know Luigi.
Yeah.
He's from
El Salvador.
El Salvador and Chile.
Oh,
I think
okay.
his mom, she's from Chile. His dad's from El Salvador.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
But he's been in Salvador and Chile, so he knows.
I
both
just thought he was just El Salvadorian. I didn't realize he was also
No, he's from
Chile.
Chile too. Yeah,
Oh, wow. So he's got family down there.
yeah,
So we got a place to stay.
yeah, man.
Well, I'm sure you got friends in all these countries down there, right?
Yeah, I have friends in. I have a great friend in Argentina. I have good friends in Chile as well. In Brazil. Yeah.
There don't seem to be a lot of Peruvians here in the Lehigh Valley, are there?
Well, there is Peruvians, but they don't like metal.
No. But I mean, in general, it doesn't seem like we have a large Peruvian population. out
No,
here.
I think I haven't seen too many Peruvians in the
No.
Lehigh Valley now.
Like even that one, there was that Peruvian restaurant that opened up that I told you about, and I drove by it like 2 or 3 months after, and it was already gone.
Yeah.
And now it's like a halal place. It didn't last long at all. Where do Peruvians kind of end up in America? Like, is there a certain city?
Jersey,
Jersey,
New York.
New York. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone ends up in New York.
Yep.
It's the melting pot of
Especially Jersey.
of the universe.
Yeah, if you go to Patterson, that's Peru.
Ah,
Yeah,
little,
there's one-
Peru. Huh?
Yeah, that's Little Peru.
So if I want some good Peruvian food, I got to go to
Oh
Patterson, New
man,
Jersey.
there's like 3 blocks
Yeah.
from just a restaurant.
You're just telling me this now. Knowing you for
They changed the name, right? The main street is Peru Street now. Peru
really.
Street. Yeah.
Wow. When's the last time you went there?
It was a month ago, right? Yeah.
Just for that? Fuck, man. You gotta let me know about this.
Yeah, let's go one day.
I need
man.
some trips,
You
man.
see, yeah. Usually like 1 hour and a half, right? From here.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad at all.
Nope.
So, what kind of music you listen to these days? Like, are there specific bands you're really like hot on? Like, these guys are incredible. Like, who's blowing your mind right now musically?
Well, there's so many bands from the Lehigh Valley. I can say Crew Bomb, Dissentients, from Jersey, Donner Party, Morbid Cross, from Philly, Skulovich. So many bands. Brad Riot, man. Brad Riot, they are great.
Yeah, they're fun. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Playing this weekend at your next show.
Hell yeah, man.
So with Soulgrinder Records, that's a new thing that you just branched out on from the zine, right?
Yeah, that was in my mind for a long time.
Now you're putting music out too.
Yes. I mean, it's an independent label.
Yeah.
I'm going to take my time doing it. I'm going to release all the bands that I really like.
And you've done what? One release so far, right?
So far, it's just one release. I have 5 bands.
And the first one was
Donner Party.
Donner Party. And you had the record release party here back in June.
June.
Yeah, that was a great show.
Yeah, there's a band from Philippines, Ritual Moon from California. There's another band from, they're from Serbia, I think. Terminal Sanity from the States.
These are all bands you're planning on releasing?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, they're in the work.
So with Donner Party, you actually put that out on physical media. You put that out on vinyl.
Yeah, it was, we all worked together, the band and I. It was
to cover the cost.
Yes. Yeah, because releasing records these days is so expensive.
Yeah.
And we release it in cassette and vinyl. And we're going to release it on CD as well.
Wow. And of course, digitally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, Spotify and Bandcamp.
You're a big supporter of physical media, aren't you?
Oh, man. Yeah, old school.
Why? But aside from being old school, why do you think physical media is so important?
It's a different feeling. I mean, social media, digital stuff is cool. I mean, you can hear a band from all over the world like in seconds. It's cool. You need that to have more exposure from your band. But for me, my own opinion, physical media has to be always. I mean, you need to have your physical CD, cassette, or record in your collection.
Yeah.
That's how I grew up.
But, even aside from the nostalgic factor, it's always something that we're going to desire. And I think you just said it great. The best purpose of digital streaming and digital music is for marketing. If you really like something, you should buy a physical copy of it.
Yep.
I tell bands all the time, put out CDs and tapes. Just give a free download through Bandcamp. Mm-hmm. That way, even if someone doesn't have a cassette player, they're buying a cassette for like $5, $6, and you're getting the album digitally. And then even if you never play that cassette tape, especially when they do the custom colors, or they number them by hand or write on them by hand, it's a piece of art.
Some people don't know what is behind the scenes. It's a lot of work, man. It's dedication, sleepless nights.
It's easy to just get caught in the system of streaming stuff. Mm-hmm. It's the easiest thing now. Everything's so accessible in that way. But anyone out there listening, build a library of movies, music, books. Even if you never read those books and don't listen to the album a lot, it's important to build these things up.
That's what I'm trying to teach my kids. And I'm glad that my kids, especially my oldest son, he likes to collect all the physical stuff.
Yeah.
Cassettes,
that's great. That's
CDs. Great. Yeah, it's awesome, man.
But today is Friday, Bandcamp Friday.
Yeah.
Right? So Bandcamp is a great platform for independent musicians. They take a small percentage when things are sold. If you buy an album digitally, or you can even buy physical releases through there and they take a cut. But what's really cool is on Fridays, they don't take any cut.
Yeah.
So they're
That's
really,
a good thing.
Yeah, and we need more stuff like that. I want to say it as much as I possibly can. I'm super anti-Spotify. This podcast is not on Spotify, nor will it ever be on Spotify until that CEO gives back all the billions he stole from bands.
That's right.
Independent musicians made this guy his fortune, and they need, I think it's 2,500 streams to get the same amount of money as one $10 CD.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So when you go to a show, if you like a band, I know, okay, where people are broke, we can't always afford things, but if you got $10 in your pocket, buy a CD, buy a tape, buy a shirt if you can.
Always.
The shirt, not in addition to having cool artwork, you're walking around advertising this band that you actually liked.
If you're going to have $10 and you need to decide what you're going to buy, or your last beer or a CD, I'm going to buy a CD.
Hell yeah, and then beg for the beer.
Yep.
Now, the band you work with, are they kind of all in the same boat with physical media? They think it's all necessary and they love it?
Yeah.
Is there any band like, no, I don't even want to put it on a vinyl. I don't care how cheap it is. Or the bands typically want to put stuff
No,
out?
they want to put it on vinyl.
Yeah.
I mean, vinyl is something really cool. Like I said, it's really expensive.
What happened during the pandemic was, obviously everything shut down, but leading up to the pandemic, vinyl came back and it became very cool.
Yeah.
And decades ago, the record companies like CBS, when they would release albums on vinyl, they had their own record pressing plants that they owned.
Yeah.
They shut all those down once CD became the dominant media format. And now that records are cool again, there's only a few record companies out there like still pressing vinyl.
Yes.
And all of the independent musicians would have to go through them. But now there's been this bottleneck because the big companies see that vinyl is cool again.
You know,
so they're placing massive orders, and now independent musicians have to wait. I mean, during the pandemic, it was 9 to 12 months minimum until you placed your order, until you actually had delivery of
That's
vinyl.
how demanding it was. Everybody wanted to release it on physical.
Now it's getting a little bit better. I see advertisements now for record pressing plants that are doing 5 to 7 weeks from order, you'll have it at your door.
Yes.
Which I still don't believe that, because I see even a lot of major musicians that are releasing albums, they'll drop it digitally, and it's not coming out for 4 or 5 months later on vinyl. So it's still an issue. One of the things we had talked about, maybe not you and I specifically, but one of the things I spoke with local musicians about was potentially having a record pressing plant here in the Lehigh Valley. And musicians went insane for it, to the point that like some were trying to place orders. People offered to partner with me. People asked if they could work there. I was like, look, I just think it's something that's needed. I want to gauge the musicians, because I am not a musician. I'm not in a band. I want to see what you guys need to see if it's something we should advocate for and push for. And I didn't realize it would open up these floodgates of people like being insanely hungry for it.
If there's going to be a pressing plant in Lehigh Valley in a metal record store, I guarantee you, man, that's going to be the place for everybody, for all the metalheads to hang out.
And it's something special. You know, if you did a record pressing plant here in the Lehigh Valley, and people think that, they think it's some huge business, you can do this with 5 employees. It doesn't have to be anything huge. You can focus on...
And that's going to be my dream job.
You could focus on short runs, anything from 25 to like 200 records, right? Any color. You can do special priority pressing for local musicians. Oh, cool. We'll take orders from anywhere in the world, but if you're a band from the Lehigh Valley or close there too, we're going to prioritize how fast we place your order.
You have the space in here, man. You can do
there's
everything in here.
I would love to do it
gallery.
at some point. But it's one of those things, we don't have the time, we don't have the equipment, and we don't have the technical knowledge of how to do it. So we'd have to partner with someone, which I'm all about. If anyone out there is listening and they want to partner with us and start a record pressing plant, not just for metal bands, for bands of all types, we would love to do that. It would be one of those things that would make our city, our valley, more interesting, more important, more culturally significant. Who's going to travel here for just, regular stores, Target or something like that? No one's going to go out of their way for that stuff. You can get that anywhere. But to come to a record pressing plant, and I've always envisioned that it would have a record store attached to it. Have copies of the stuff you make.
That's going to be great.
How amazing would that be?
Yep.
And then if you really want to take it to the next level, you have it attached to like a bar, restaurant.
Man, it's going to be a metal bar,
trucks.
first floor metal bar, second floor, the record store, third floor, pressing plant.
Let's do it.
That'd be it.
Let's do it. All right, we got to start a GoFundMe on Monday. So the bands that you're working with, how did you kind of start these conversations with them about putting out albums? Where does that conversation start?
First, we do a show at the gallery. So after that, we talk about it. We talk about releasing maybe an EP, maybe a single, a compilation. That I was doing compilations before.
Yeah, so say you're doing compilations before you officially started the record label.
Yes, through the fan scene.
Yeah.
And so far, man, all the bands, they are really down to the earth to work with me.
Nice.
No complaints about it.
So you make them prove to you how serious they are about having a show first. Like, good show. You guys weren't dicks. You didn't trash the gallery. Now we're willing to take the next step. We're going to do a split. And then maybe are you writing a record?
When you see a band live, you can sense that they love what they're doing.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
I really respect that. And that's how I decided to sign the bands for my label.
Now, do you ever visit like any of their practice spaces? Have you been at practice space of these bands?
No, so far.
I'm just curious where bands practice, because
I went to Donner parties, barbecue party.
Yeah.
I
sad
saw where they practice. Man, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
That place was awesome.
They have some land, don't they? They're not. Yeah. So they can be a little wild. Here in Allentown, you're either playing in your house or in a garage. People they're not going to put up with that, unfortunately. And This is another thing
Most
we
of the
talked-
bands they rehearse in the basement or garage, like you said.
Yeah. Which is, you got to do what you got to do. But one of the things that this place has taught
Neighbors
me,
are complaining.
you need a communal space dedicated to these things.
Yeah.
Like the alternative gallery where we have the artist workspaces here. This environment is created specifically for creating art, and there is no additional thing. It's just that. So our job is to keep all distractions outside so that artists, when they come here, they can focus. Now, obviously, when we do have shows, that interferes with them doing that. So we could be a music venue and have 5-6 shows a week, no problem with the amount of requests we have.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the environment. The environment is supposed to be workspace first. The music venue is an addition to what we do.
That's why I
it's a
do the
balancing
shows
act.
on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Work days, it's gonna be hard.
Well,
for
and a
me,
lot of artists, I mean, not saying no artists here work here on Saturdays, but most of the artists, they're either doing shows or events or just kicking it with their friends.
Yep.
One of my favorite things here is when we have a show, a music show, and the tenants come and just hang out, or our artist friends just come and hang out. And it's like, we need more of that stuff.
Yeah, man. Everybody's welcome. Everybody. Like I said, as long as you stepping in the gallery, you're gonna feel like family.
I love that, man. And it's something that we strive for, to make everyone just this big kind of extended family that's all supporting each other.
Yeah, there's no egos, man. There's no bullshit.
There's no room for it. And
just have fun.
And you know what? You're going to hear it directly from us. And one of the reasons when we wanted to do this podcast was I heard something years ago was, if you don't tell your story, somebody else will.
Yeah.
And because me and my crew have been so busy over the years with our heads down, busting our ass again for no money, we're not always out there telling the story of what the gallery is or what the gallery does. And let's be honest, you got some jealous motherfuckers out there, man.
Yeah.
You got some haters, or you got some people that they didn't get what they wanted out of this place, and they're trying to smear what we do for a number of shallow reasons.
They can say a lot of shit about this place,
but the
maybe
truth
about
is,
you, about me.
Correct.
You know what, man?
Correct. But the thing is, we're all serious here about what we do. We all have a good heart.
Yes.
And we're all doing this to support other people.
We
and
won't
for our
take
community.
advantage of everybody.
No.
I mean, we respect all the bands.
No.
And if a band want to come over here and talk to you about it, they're more than welcome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I heard this great quote. I think it was Christian Bale said that if you have a problem with me, text me. If you don't have my number, you don't know me well enough to have a problem with me. I love that.
Yeah, that's right.
Because social media is such the opposite of that. It's just an easy way to fire shots at anyone. Do you know any bands that you work with? Are any of them making a living off of their art, off of their music?
Right now, no.
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 None.
None.
How do we
all
change
of them,
that?
they have regular jobs.
How do we grow Soulgrinder Records into the next Relapse size label that can actually? How does that happen?
Man, that's gonna be hard work. But I think we can do it.
I believe it.
Yes. We're gonna keep working as a team, and we believe in what we're doing. Who knows, man?
You and I can team up too to not just hold shows here. We need to do shows in New York. We gotta do shows around the country. What do you think about us doing a tour, taking some of the bands around the country? Do you think that's going to be helpful?
Oh, absolutely. That's gonna help a lot. Yep.
What cities do you think we should hit specifically? Anything?
I think for now we can do, maybe we can start New York, Jersey, PA, Maryland. Maybe we can end it up in Boston.
What about a West Coast, like LA?
Yeah, that's gonna be the big next thing.
The next thing.
Yes.
How do you think we can get more support for bands like this? Do you think maybe people starting up zines and things like what you have?
Oh, absolutely, man.
What you have is a magazine. A zine is usually a lot smaller, a lot less complicated.
That's why it's called fancy.
Yeah,
You're doing by yourself. A magazine is more professional.
Yeah.
The
Well,
quality.
your magazine's pretty professional, man.
Yeah, I'm trying, man.
If anybody wants to check out your magazine or the record label, where can they do so?
I mean, they can check Facebook. They can come to the shows.
Anyone that might not be in the area can't come to shows. Is there a website? Or
It's through Facebook.
through Facebook?
Yeah,
So
basically.
Soulgrinder Zine on Facebook.
Soulgrinder Zine on Facebook, Instagram.
Instagram. Send Paul a message. Tell him that you want him to put out your album. Tell him you want to come play a show here at the gallery.
Yep.
And tell him that you want to start a record pressing plant
Hell
in
yes.
Allentown, and we'll do it.
Down for it.
in general, though, how can people be more supportive of these bands? What do you think these bands need to kind of make it?
I mean, people need to come more to shows, man. They need to show up at the shows.
Yeah.
And buy their stuff. Support in any way. If you go to a show, buy the merch. Buy the CDs, shirts, stickers. Anything helps.
You know, a lot of promoters, and not just from the Lehigh Valley area, but around the country, tell me that they don't get people out to shows like they used to, maybe before the pandemic or even earlier than that. What is it that is keeping people from shows anymore?
Yeah, I don't know what is going on, man. I think people, they feel so comfortable just listening to music on social media, and they don't want to get out and socialize and see bands on stage. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, man, people need to get out of their houses and
Well, one of the things I talked about in the last podcast was, you know, we had magazines like Merge and Pulse Weekly, which were these free publications that talked about the scene and the shows and reviews. And when those went away, I feel like access to information wasn't as easy. You know, yes, we have instant mass communication with social media, but there's so much on there.
it's not the same. I mean, social media is helpful, but it's not the same. You won't find bands. There is some bands that they don't use social media at all.
No, and the issue that we're finding with the Alternative Gallery is, like, we have a lot of followers on Facebook, but if you're not paying for your audience to see that, even people that already follow your page, a lot of the times aren't seeing your posts.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's like independent, small organizations, you can't be throwing money at everything you do just to get it seen, especially when a lot of these things we're not doing for money. And there's no big grants or checks coming in that are paying for these things. Like, we're just by the skin of our teeth getting through week by week, year by year.
Yeah.
I think, first of all, we as creatives need to have more focused areas where this information is available, whether that's podcasts, websites, in-person meetups, or, again, these publications. Like, you're right on the money with your zine. I mean, you built this whole brand off of that, which is now turned into a record label. Yes, you're not making this insane living off of it, but it exists.
Yes.
Now,
And that's what I want.
Do you have any advice for anyone out there who might be interested in starting a zine or a record label in the way you did?
I mean, just go for it. Risk it. I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, you have the heart to do it, and you have the dedication, and you have time. It's possible. I've been doing this for a long time. I have my regular job. I have my family. And I'm still doing it because I like it.
And yeah, your full-time job, you know, all these other things you have to worry about, and you're still able to do this.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, like I've mentioned before in this podcast, it's all about how people spend their free time. And you're choosing to spend your free time on something very constructive and on something you love.
Yes.
And again, maybe you're lucky. You found out at 10 years old what you love. That's heavy metal.
Yeah.
Some people never find out what they love.
Yeah. Yep. I'm seeing people that they've been telling me, man, I don't know what to do beside work, beside family. I'm staying home, doing nothing. Man, just go outside. There's a lot of cool places. There's a lot of cool people around. You need to discover more stuff.
You know what? And this is maybe something you can shine light on here, but I think one of the issues in America is we're a car culture, and we're kind of wired in a way that we drive everywhere. A friend of mine told me that from Ecuador, that when they go to Ecuador, it takes them like 3 hours to get somewhere. Because
that's true.
They're passing random strangers and people just strike up conversation.
Yeah.
I think when you're in such a hurry to get from destination to A and B, you're missing a lot of life experience. And I think that's part of it. Like, people, they get in their car, they go from work to home, you know, home to the grocery store, back home. They're missing out on these. You don't have to just insert yourself in a pre-planned social environment like a bar or a show to meet people. The people you encounter.
Yes. Some of my good friends, I meet them at the gallery, and I meet them in some different shows. They became good friends. That's how you meet people.
But
you need to interact.
But in Peru, you walk there a lot more than you walk in America.
Oh, of course.
And
yes.
when you're walking around, you meet all kinds of people.
All kinds of people. Yep.
And people,
not necessarily metalheads.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna learn. And I remember I traveled when I was in high school. We went to another city. It was like 5 hours outside Lima. Sometimes you complain about, you know, your city and all the BS that you have to deal with. when I went to that place, man, I learned a lot. I was like 16 years old. And I said, man, these people, they don't have what I have. They don't complain about it. They live so happy. That's the thing that you learn from all these kind of experiences is going to teach you something.
And when you do randomly walk around Peru and you're back, random strangers will just talk with you.
Yeah.
That's a normal thing there.
It's
a
a
part
normal
of
thing.
culture. You know, and it's interesting because I just saw there's this Twitter thread going around right now, too, about Americans who visit Europe and they gorge on food. They eat tons of food while they're there, right? But they come back and they lost weight.
Yeah.
And the obvious reasons are, you know, better quality of food. And also they're walking everywhere.
Yep.
You know, and I don't want to beat on cars too much, but like, yeah, the fact that, I mean, cars make things convenient, but also with streaming, what do we lose with that convenience?
I never have a car in Peru.
Never.
Never. I just walk, took the bus.
Wow.
I used my bicycle. That was it.
I guess the point that I'm making, it's not to totally car bash, which I'm not apologetic for. It's to just say that sometimes in order to meet people and find things, you just got to take unexpected paths. Go out and take a walk.
Yep.
Go out and go to a place you haven't been to before. You might end up meeting someone that changes the direction of your life.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's true.
Bringing it back to our show this coming weekend, what are you most excited about for this upcoming show? Is there any band you're especially, I mean, obviously they're all great bands, but
Yes.
is there this one band that's like really like, holy shit, they're playing here?
Out of the 4 bands, I mean, Bright Riot, they already play here, but the other 3 bands never play at the gallery. So it's going to be a new thing for them. So I can wait to see them, man. Trash Bag, they're going to be playing covers from all 80s and 90s, thrash metal.
Nice.
Yes.
The height of thrash, man.
Yes.
You know, my favorite episode of Married with Children is the episode
Anthrax?
with Anthrax.
Yes.
Where they're all just, it's like one of the rare episodes of Married with Children where the whole family is actually on the same page.
Right.
And the band just starts playing in the living room and they all just rock out with the band together. It's like, that should have been the series finale of that show.
Yeah,
So
man.
good.
That's how the gallery is, man. Everybody is like, you know, a big community. Everybody is having fun. So everybody that is listening to this podcast, come to the show.
Yeah, it's been a lot of rebuilding since the pandemic. A lot of people have moved away or maybe shifted into something different. So the first couple of shows we did after the pandemic were a little tough, and now we're back into the swing of things, and we're really trying to build this community up. The Lehigh Valley in Allentown has so much potential.
Of course, man.
Which is why I beat on it so much, because it's not like this place is designed to suck. Like, it has so much potential to be cool and to work, and the developers and the people that are building these things and doing these things, listen to the artists.
Yes.
We're not just 1 or 2 artists. There are, look at metalheads. You would never even think of metalheads when you design a space in downtown Allentown. But if you did, you would have an entire thriving community around it to help build it up. But you don't give it a chance.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And I
that's
think
right.
it's like what I mentioned earlier about these not having these unexpected journeys, and you're missing out on things. And once again, the next Metal Assault is being held here at the Alternative Gallery on Saturday, October 14th, and features Buried at Dawn, Addiction, Thrash Bag, and Bride Riot. It's $10 admission, all ages. Doors are at 6, music at 7, 7-ish, you know, punk time. Any metal fans out there in the tri-state area, these Metal Assault shows are definitely for you. Don't sleep on them. Don't put it off until the next one. These bands need your support. They need you to come out and buy some merch. And more importantly, they just need you there to hang out with them.
Yeah, you're going to love it.
Right? It's going to be a great time.
Absolutely.
Paul, thanks so much for doing this, man.
Thanks a lot, Brandon.
I love you, buddy.
You're doing a great job. And once again, thank you for giving me the chance to do all these shows.
I'm very grateful we had the chance to work together, and we'll continue doing great things together, bigger and better. And I can't wait for you to show me Peru, my friend.
Man, we have to do it.
We're going to rock out this weekend. I'll see you then, brother.
See you there, man.
Thanks for joining
Take
the
care.
Art Bazaar.
Thanks a lot.
See you next time, everyone.
See ya.